stumble into controversy this season. They walked straight into one of the most uncomfortable and revealing moments the NFL has seen in years, and it happened under bright lights on camera, with nowhere left to hide. What unfolded during Kevin Stefanski's late-season press conference wasn't a routine media obligation or harmless coach speak. It was the quiet unraveling of a narrative that had been carefully constructed all year, and at its center stood rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders, a player who had spent months being undermined, sidelined, and subtly blamed for problems he never created. From the outside, Stefanski's words sounded calm, measured, professional. But beneath the surface, the subtext was unmistakable. This was not confidence. This was damage control. Coming just hours before what many believe could be Sanders' final start in a Browns uniform, and possibly Stefanski's final appearance as head coach, the timing alone turned the moment into something far more significant. It felt less like an evaluation and more like a reluctant admission, the kind that comes when denial is no longer sustainable. The saga began the moment Cleveland drafted Sanders, a quarterback widely viewed as one of the most NFL-ready prospects in his class. Instead of being welcomed as the future of the franchise, he was treated like an inconvenience. Practice reps with the first team never came. Developmental opportunities were withheld. There was no gradual transition, no mentorship arc, no clear plan. It wasn't patience, it was exclusion. Almost immediately, anonymous leaks began circulating, painting Sanders as distracted, unprepared, disengaged. Stories claimed he sat at the back of meeting rooms, lacked maturity, and wasn't putting in the work. The problem was that none of it aligned with reality. Anyone who followed Sanders' college career knew his reputation. He played through pain, carried programs on his back, handled relentless scrutiny, and never flinched under pressure. The sudden attempt to recast him as lazy or uncommitted felt less like reporting and more like narrative engineering. As the season dragged on and the Browns struggled, the contradictions became impossible to ignore. When quarterback changes were finally forced by injuries and losses, Stefanski still refused to turn to his first-round pick. Instead, opportunities went to Dylan Gabriel, a move that sent a clear message to fans, media, and the locker room. This wasn't about readiness. It was about stubbornness. Only when public frustration reached a boiling point did the wall crack. Sanders was finally inserted into the lineup, and when he was, the truth emerged quickly. He didn't look overwhelmed. He didn't play scared. He didn't make the team worse. In fact, he made them better. Sanders showed arm talent, mobility, awareness, and composure far beyond what a rookie thrown into chaos should reasonably display. He won games. He beat Pittsburgh. He stood tall against elite defenses with minimal preparation and zero organizational support. What made his performance even more striking was the context. Sanders succeeded while operating behind a shaky offensive line, with inconsistent weapons, and under a coaching staff that had already written him off. Most young quarterbacks would have folded under that weight. Sanders didn't just survive it, he thrived in it. And that reality is what made Stefanski's press conference so jarring. Suddenly, the same coach who denied Sanders reps was praising his growth. The same staff that leaked concerns about preparation was highlighting his eagerness to improve. Stefanski spoke about progress, coaching receptiveness, and development, statements that quietly contradicted everything the organization had allowed to be said about Sanders all season. Each compliment carried an unspoken confession. If Sanders was improving with each start, he should have been starting sooner. If he was eager and coachable, the earlier narratives were false. If he was ready now, he had been ready then. Even more telling was what Stefanski didn't address. There was no explanation for the lack of first-team reps, no clarification about the anonymous leaks, no justification for prioritizing lesser talent. Silence filled the gaps where accountability should have been, and that silence spoke louder than any praise. This wasn't humility. It was a man realizing too late that the story had turned against him. Around the league, the implications are heavy. Stefanski is widely viewed as coaching for his job, and the mishandling of the quarterback position sits at the center of Cleveland's collapse. The Browns entered the season with postseason expectations and exited it as a cautionary tale. Analysts point to stubborn leadership, ego-driven decisions, and a failure to align talent with opportunity. Sanders became the symbol of all of it, a gifted player nearly wasted by an organization more interested in protecting its image than developing its future. For Sanders, the situation is both validating and dangerous. He proved he belongs in the NFL, but he did so inside a broken system. Whether Cleveland's next regime sees him as the foundation or the baggage of a failed era remains uncertain. Other teams will be watching closely, and the smart ones will see the truth. A quarterback who succeeded despite dysfunction, not because of it. The contrast between Sanders and Stefanski could not be sharper. One stayed professional, silent, prepared. The other leaked narratives, avoided accountability, and attempted to rewrite history when the truth became undeniable. When pressure mounted, Sanders responded with performance. When pressure mounted, Stefanski responded with coded language and half-admissions. This moment will linger long after the season ends. It exposes the consequences of leadership without self-awareness and development without commitment. It reinforces how fragile young careers can be when placed in the wrong hands. And it reminds everyone watching that talent doesn't fail, systems do. As Sanders prepares for whatever comes next, one thing is certain. He has already passed the league's hardest test. He endured sabotage, silence, and skepticism, and still delivered when it mattered. His tape tells the truth, and the truth always surfaces eventually. Stefanski's legacy in Cleveland, however, will forever be tied to this failure, a season defined not by what could have been, but by what was actively prevented. Now the question shifts to you. Did that press conference feel like genuine reflection, or was it simply a last-minute attempt to save face? Should Cleveland build around Shedeur Sanders under new leadership, or does he deserve a fresh start elsewhere? What does this say about how NFL organizations handle young quarterbacks when ego gets in the way of development? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation is far from over. If you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more deep dives into